Jay, are we good for the online folks? We're live? Okay, great. All right, Andy, if you'll join the podium, and then we'll have Inspector Johnson and Pat stand beside Andy. We are going to have Staff Sergeant Andy Woodward start with a statement this morning, and he'll be joined after by Pat Grisak, Senior Leader Traffic Management at the City of Calgary. He'll also provide a statement. After that, we'll be taking questions from everybody. Also joining the two today is Inspector Bradley Johnson, Calgary Community Standards, Emergency Management and Community Safety's Traffic Safety Team Lead. And with that, go ahead, Andy. We'll start with you.
Good morning. My name is Andy Woodward, A-N-D-Y, W-O-O-D, W-A-R-D. I'd like to welcome our partners from the City of Calgary who have joined us today to talk about our shared commitment to traffic safety in Calgary. Yesterday, November the 16th, was the World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims, a day to honour those who have lost their lives or have been injured in road collisions. This year, Calgary so far, there have been 32 fatal collisions and more than 2,500 injury collisions. The members of our traffic unit who respond to these collisions every day have seen firsthand the devastating impact they have had on families and communities. They leave lasting physical and emotional scars to victims, loved ones, and first responders. As we head into the winter and holiday season, changing weather conditions and reduced daylight make travel more challenging. We're reminding everyone to be patient, look out for one another, and make safe choices so everyone gets home safely. This is a reminder to all road users, including drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists, to obey all traffic signs and signals, look both ways before crossing or proceeding through an intersection. Slow down if the conditions call for it, and avoid distractions including electronic devices or headphones that might take your attention away from your path of travel. Next month is Impaired Driving Month in the Alberta Traffic Safety Calendar, and our officers will be conducting check stops throughout that month. We are reminding drivers that driving impaired is never acceptable. If you plan to drink or consume cannabis, arrange a safe way home. Through both enforcement and our Safer Mobility Plan, the CPS and the City of Calgary are working to keep the city roads safe, and we ask Calgarians to do their part to do the same. Thank you. Pat?
Thanks, Andy. My name is Pat Grisak, P-A-T, last name is spelled G-R-I-S-A-K. I am the Senior Leader of Traffic Management at the City of Calgary. I know that we will all agree that one traffic fatality is one fatality too many. Having said that, in Calgary this year, we have had 32 traffic fatalities, which is a 10-year high. That's an alarming number of fatalities. These fatalities, however, are not just numbers. Fatalities are real people with families and friends who care about them and depend on them making it home safely, which tragically will no longer occur. Road safety is very important to the City of Calgary. The city is continually implementing engineering measures to improve road safety. An example is rectangular rapid flashing beacons at crosswalks. These are the flashing beacons on the side of crosswalks that pedestrians can activate when they wish to cross the road. These flashing beacons give pedestrians a device to assist them in crossing the road safely, and they also alert motorists that a pedestrian is crossing. In 2024, rectangular rapid flashing beacons were installed at 30 crosswalks in the city. They have been installed at 20 locations so far this year, with an additional 6 planned for installation by the end of the year. In addition to measures implemented by the city, Calgary Police and the Traffic Safety Team of Emergency Management and Community Safety enforce rules of the road. Engineering and enforcement are parts of the solution to safer roads, but they are not the whole equation. Road users are a critical part of the solution. All users must make safe choices. Motorists must slow down, drive to the conditions, stay off phones, and be courteous. Pedestrians should be visible, be patient, again, stay off phones, and be courteous. The number of traffic fatalities in our city is an urgent issue that can only be solved by everyone working together. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. We will start with questions from the floor. Please direct your question to this appropriate spokesperson and identify yourself. Go ahead.
Hi, Ted Henley from CBC. Staff Sergeant, can we pick your brain a little bit if you don't mind for a minute here?
Carry on.
No, I just
You
need
gotta
you
go
with it. Yeah, thank you. So Staff Sergeant, what's going on? Like, why are we seeing statistics like we are this year? When you look back 10 years, we're not hitting that mark. So what, in your opinion, is going on?
Okay, I think, so you talked about going back 10 years. I think the infrastructure of Calgary has grown, as we know, so much. Our population has grown so much, and we're getting far more people using our road networks.
I'm just looking at the statistics in the news release this morning. In 2025, so far, 21,000-ish collisions, injury and non-injury. And I'm looking at 2018, there were 41,000, injury and non-injury crashes, but yet only 16 fatalities compared to 31. I mean, have you and your team kind of figured out maybe what the difference is between 2018 and now?
So we look at vulnerable road users. So when we look at cyclists, we look at pedestrians, we look at motorcyclists. We're getting far more of those on the road now, and 65% have happened this year in relation to those vulnerable road users. So we think that's a bit of a trend there we've got that we need to be looking at.
Would more photo radar help, or is that not part of this equation?
Certainly would help. I think people do slow down when they see a photo radar vehicle. Do they pick up their speed when they are out of sight? Probably they do. But if we could get more strategically placed across the city, I definitely think that would help.
Okay. And Staff Sergeant, I feel like I'm kind of monopolizing this, but sorry. How big of a role in improving the statistics is for drivers and their behavior, and also pedestrians, cyclists, and the people that are getting, I guess, collided with?
That's a really good question. I think everybody has to take a responsibility here. We can't put police officers on every corner, so we are asking the public to slow down. If you're not used to the area, definitely slow down. Keep to that speed limit. Speed limit is there for a reason. You don't have to achieve that limit. If you can drive slower, we urge you to drive slower. From a pedestrian point of view, I'm going to ask you to make sure before you cross the road, you look and see what's around you, see what vehicles are around you. And if you feel that you might get across, then probably you're better off waiting for that car to go past and make sure it is clear. Going back to drivers, if you see pedestrians on the side of the road and they're looking to cross, anticipate they will cross. And then you can slow down. And then if you do slow down, they step out, then you have got an ability to be able to stop your vehicle before hitting them.
How big of a deal is technology in these statistics we're seeing now compared to, even just 10 years ago?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. I think, the way we look at, you look at technology within the vehicles, we look at the people that got their phones, it plays a major part into what's happening with the collisions.
How big a part does distraction play, do you think, that when you look back 10 years and now coming forward 10 years and think about distraction, what you see when you're out?
It's difficult to put a number on it, but I think it's one of the biggest contributing factors to collisions, whether they are fatalities or just damage only. So many people still feel that it won't happen to them and they get away with texting, and the amount of people that do get away with it because they're not getting caught is probably a figure that I wouldn't even want to talk about.
Do you think distraction's the biggest difference, looking back, comparing 10 years ago?
Yeah, I do. I think distraction of the number of people we've got around us and what's in our vehicles.
Another question I have, I notice there's far more senior, people like me, frankly, senior drivers out there. What kind of and it's a personal responsibility issue, isn't it, at times, that maybe we should look at our health and some of the things that make us maybe incapable of driving or less capable of driving. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's taking ownership. And, to take somebody's driving license away from them is like probably chopping our arm off. But we have to be cognizant ourselves that if we feel that we're not suitable to be on the road, or we get frightened when we go out on the roads. That's a factor that they have to take into consideration themselves. And we find it difficult as police to actually say to somebody, listen, we're going to have to get your license looked at. So I do think it's a good question. I think they have to take responsibility themselves.
Should there be a change in that? I think, I'm not quite sure about this, so every 5 years after you're 65, you
Yeah.
just need a medical, not a road test, right? Or
Yeah, you don't need a road test. It's just medical, eyesight probably. But
is
yeah.
there time we looked at maybe changing that?
Yeah, but then should we bring a road test in for everybody that emigrates to Canada? Because I emigrated to Canada back in 2010, and all I had to do was produce a driving license from the UK, and they gave me a driving license in Canada. So
Is it possible to chat with Pat a little bit?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Staff Sergeant.
Thanks.
Pat, you were giving us an example of some of the engineering the city of Calgary has done to kind of improve the situation. You were talking about those crosswalks. Can you elaborate on that and maybe give us other examples as well, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So the rectangular rapid flashing beacons that I mentioned, I think are, flashing beacons at the side of the roadway. They're activated by pedestrians when they wish to cross the roadway. Obviously, they assist pedestrians in crossing more safely, and they also alert motorists that a pedestrian either wants to cross or is crossing, so they're certainly helpful in that regard. We've also done things like upgraded crosswalks, painted what we call ladder crosswalks. Typically, crosswalks are 2 lines across the road. We now have them with, lines between the lines. We call them ladders, basically, so we've done a lot of that. We've done what we call curb extensions, a lot of curb extensions where we will actually bring the curbs out so that pedestrians are further out into the road and they're more visible to motorists, and they also have less distance to cross on the roadway because their crossing is now shorter. At traffic signals, we've put in a measure we call a leading pedestrian interval, so we will bring the walk on a little bit sooner than the green light comes on for motorists so that pedestrians can actually start crossing and they are out into the intersection before vehicles start moving so that they're visible to motorists. So those are some of the things we've done. We've also done things like speed cushions and speed humps within neighborhoods to address speeding. I'm sure you're aware back in 2021, we reduced the speed limit on residential roads from 50 to 40. That's had a positive impact, and we're actually reviewing right now collector roadways, which are the next step up from residential roadways, to see where it may be appropriate to lower the speed limit on those types of roads.
The collector roadways, is that like the McLeod Trails and the Southland Drives and that type of thing?
No, those are more major type roads. Collectors are basically the next one up from residential roads, so they're typically within a community, the one that may have a bus on it, marked with a center line, that type of thing. So, residential roads are the ones that are purely residential, and then collectors are the next step up from that.
Okay. And Pat, how do you decide which crossings get the improved illumination and which crosswalks get the ladder painting and that type of thing?
We use a process called a pedestrian crossing control guide. So this is a national document. It looks at a number of factors, vehicle volumes, pedestrian volumes. We look at the safety issues, obviously safety record, and it goes in various iterations for treatments from marked and signed crosswalks to rectangular rapid flashing beacons, overhead flashers, then perhaps traffic signals. So that's the process we go through. We do review each intersection based on those criteria.
Okay, and Pat, we all know how much Calgary's grown over the last 10 years or so. Lots of people move here for various reasons. Are we keeping up, in your opinion, in having enough roads to handle the volume of vehicles we're seeing these days?
Well, you're right. There's been a tremendous amount of growth in the city. Some of the infrastructure, quite honestly, is being stretched, particularly in areas where we can't upgrade it as much as possible. In new areas, roads are built to accommodate the foreseen volumes, but some of them are probably stretched a little bit, quite honestly, yes.
One simple one for you. I noticed sometimes, I like those little intersection, what were the little signs at the intersection, what do you call those?
Oh, the in-street, we call those in-street at the schools?
Yeah, in-street.
Sorry, in-street pedestrian crosswalk signs. I had
Yeah.
to get the terminology.
Okay, yeah, that's all right. I quite like those, because they draw attention again. they often get hit over. I don't see a replacement. Who should Calgarians call if they want them replaced when
Well,
they get hit over?
There's a little bit of a backstory to this, quite honestly. We had a bit of a manufacturing problem with the first batch, and some of them were actually deteriorating. So not only were they getting hit, but I'm sure you've seen some where, you know, the sign is still there, but it's deteriorated. So we are going to create another supply that hopefully won't have this issue. In terms of, you know, if citizens see one that's damaged or, you know, coming apart, they can certainly call 311 and report it that way.
So are you the guy in charge of this closed circuit television at the traffic center there down on 25th?
Well, that's part of my team. There are people that, yeah.
As you monitor that and you see traffic blockage and that, are you seeing, because you'd be able to monitor frustration or at least people going crazy. Where's that led you? As we are now better to monitor all this, what are we seeing that we could improve upon?
Well, you're right. We have a number of cameras. I believe it's pushing 200 now around the city. You know, the staff in the traffic management center constantly monitor those cameras. If they see challenges, you know, with congestion or perhaps an incident or a collision, they are able to adjust signal timings. You know, if a road is closed, they can adjust timings on an alternate route. So they are able to take measures to try to improve the flow, you know, for congestion or incidents or whatever the case may be.
What's coming down the pike, so to speak, Pat? You highlighted a bunch of things that have been done. You know, the bringing the curbs in closer together, the ladder crosswalks, the better flashing signs to get the attention of drivers and that type of thing. You mentioned possibly lowering the speed limit on that next step of roadway. Are there any other things the city's considering right now as kind of potential to kind of work in down the road here, so to speak?
Well, we're doing an artificial intelligence pedestrian collision system evaluation. So we've done a preliminary sort of look at it. We're going to look at it further and report in 2026. So the whole thought behind that is, quite honestly, a lot of the things we do are reactive, unfortunately. You know, we need to see certain volumes. We need to see certain things happen. AI can maybe give us some predictability into some of these things. You know, we can look at past collision history perhaps and get a prediction or whatever as to what may happen in the future. So we're certainly looking at that. I mentioned the you know, the collector level speed review that we're going to be undertaking. We'll do that citywide and perhaps look at lowering speed limits on some of those collectors if it's appropriate. We're always, you know, like I say, installing these rapid flashing beacons and all the other devices that we have. So we're always proactively looking to make the roadways safer.
I'm going to invite Inspector Johnson up to also answer that question. He's with the new traffic safety team with Bylaw, and they've been up for about 6 months now. So I think that's also a good addition to answer that.
Could you just spell your name for us too, please?
Sure, it's Bradley, first name's Bradley, B-R-A-D-L-E-Y, last name's Johnson, J-O-H-N-S-O-N.
And your role here, Bradley, is?
So I'm the inspector that oversees the new traffic safety team, comprised of peace officers right now. Yeah, it was originally created just in March and we launched on the road in April of this year. And we've been out in the residential communities doing speed enforcement around schools and playground zones.
And what have you noticed in your team?
So what we've noticed, regardless of what quadrant of the city we're in, clearly there's issues on the road around speeding and around how drivers and how people are, you know, acting in residential areas and just on the roadways in general in the city of Calgary. So our officers are out there within the residential areas and the school grounds, making sure people are slowing down as best as possible and dealing with any kind of road or traffic safety issues as they're out there. But we see, you know, consistently across the city that there are concerns everywhere and we're trying to support in those areas.
Is this humans being too human? I don't mean that lightly. I mean, like, as drivers and pedestrians and cyclists and motorcyclists, et cetera, like, is this humans making mental mistakes that's contributing to this, or is there something else happening?
I think it's just an overall shared responsibility that just needs to be reminded for everyone that's out there that is on the roadway, whether or not it's complacency or the fact that people are either too busy, like we've identified, that they're on their mobile device or on their phones, whether or not they're in a vehicle or at that crosswalk waiting to cross. It's just that shared responsibility that we need to get back to, because it seems like there is that issue out there, and the reminder to people to remember that there's a lot of different users on those roadways and around them, is the important part of what we're trying to do and trying to help with.
I find it interesting that you were created in April. So we've seen this problem, we've created a unit. How many guys in your unit, and are you just in Calgary district, or how is it? Tell me a little bit about your unit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we're municipal based, so we're from emergency management and community safety. So we normally didn't do traffic work in the boundaries of the city of Calgary, but provincially, peace officers do a lot of traffic work across, obviously, the province. So this team was built and created so we could assist and support in this area and use those provincial authorities within the city of Calgary to help just support on traffic safety work that mobility's done in the Calgary Police Services over the years. So, sorry, what was the other part of the question you asked?
So what your responsibilities encompass as this force, and how many of you are? Look,
Oh, right.
no, you can't really reveal them,
Oh.
but.
Yeah, there's, so it's a very small unit right now because we wanted to pilot basically peace officers operating in the same areas in the city of Calgary as the Calgary Police Service. So it's a total of 10 members in total. That's 2 sergeants and 8 officers. They're paired units, so that's 4 units that operate together. And how we operate is we send them out to a quadrant of the city weekly, and they kind of go in force into locations and areas around school grounds and playgrounds, and they monitor for speeding and any other issues that are in traffic. So that's what they kind of do. It's a small unit, but the goal is to help enforce on the Provincial Traffic Safety Act authorities and everything around the roadways, and also deal with our municipal bylaws as well. So noisy vehicles, things of that nature is what this team also tries to tackle as well.
You could run a guy though, so if you pull someone over, you're running them through CPAC, eh?
Yeah.
And then if, let's say there was an outstanding warrant, are you able to, like, so is it a true Calgary Police level enforcement?
So we have a collaborative working relationship with the Calgary Police Service. Now, provincially, absolutely, if we run an individual and there's, let's say, provincial warrants associated with an individual, we can absolutely deal with that because it's under the Traffic Safety Act authorities that we do have. If it's criminal in any nature, we connect with the Calgary Police Service and we work alongside them to deal with those situations. So absolutely, anything and everything on that roadway that our members run into, we collaboratively work through, 100%.
What have you learned? So, because that would be the thing coming in. Like if I was with a different, okay, we're with the city police, we have to create our unit, right? We have to fulfill certain responsibilities, I'm sure, that within it. What have you learned? Because you've been at it now about 6 months or 7 months.
About 6 months, what we've learned is there is a lot of work out there and there's a lot of collaborative pieces that we can help with and assist and support in. And that's what our true goal is to build on that support, to focus on traffic safety across the city, to build on what Mobility Services has been working on and the Calgary Police Service the whole time. So there's absolutely a need out there and we're happy to provide our resources to that. Up to today, we've issued roughly around over 3,000 tickets on the roadways, and over 70% of that is due to speeding. And this is only in the residential areas, so around schools, around playground zones. So absolutely, there's a need out there to remind citizens, slow them down, and just bring awareness to everyone, all those shared road users, that there's some responsibility everywhere that people need to take, just so everyone can be safe on the roadways in Calgary.
Thanks, Inspector. We're going to move to questions online now. If you're joining us online, please remember to push *1 to queue for a question. Operator, can you please put forward our first question?
Yes, we have a question from Bill Kaufman from Post Media. Your line is open.
Yes. Hi, this is for Staff Sergeant Woodward. We've seen the provincial government, they've been reducing the number of camera locations in the city, and now they're talking about increasing speed limits on highways. Does that send a counterproductive message in any way to what you folks are doing here in the city? I know you're talking about people driving slower and all of that.
It does. If we take the speed limit question first, it doesn't affect Calgary. It doesn't affect any roads going into Calgary. So Stony Trail, Deerfoot Trail, they've been exempt from that. And I don't really want to talk too much about the speed limit side of things. That's more happening up in the north. With regards to the ATE, we have managed to put back 5 more cameras back on. for our speed on greens, and we are in the process of putting applications in to try and get some more cameras back on the system.
Thanks, Bill. Do you have a follow-up?
Sure, but do you have any concern that what this province is saying about speed limits on highways? It's sending a message, kind of a message to drivers that hey, speed isn't that big a deal. We could go faster.
Yeah.
Do you think that could be a concern, or is a concern in any way?
Yeah, it's a concern anyway. I think we've got to be realistic. When we've got speed limits of 100 or 110, people will always travel at 130 now. If we give them 120, will they travel at 140, 150? Yes, they probably will. So to answer your question quickly is to say, is there a concern? Yes, there would be a concern.
Thanks, Bill. Do we have, operator, can you put through our next caller?
We don't have questions as of the moment.
Great, thank you, operator. We'll go one final question in the room. Ted, go ahead.
Your brain about this artificial intelligence and a speed review?
I can try my best. I might have to rely on one of my colleagues to help me out a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
It's actually just straightforward, as in, when is this going to start, the speed review or the AI kind of trying to predict where collisions may happen analysis, or is it ongoing? And when are you planning to report to council with, the kind of findings and that type of thing?
Well, the collector review speed limit exercise that I mentioned is basically started. We're anticipating it taking probably about 6 months to do the review. The AI matter, we took a report to council in the fall here, basically a primary report indicating that we would do more research and more follow-up, and I believe we're reporting back to council in Q2 of 2026 as to our findings.
And the speed review, same time for the process reporting-wise, Q2 you're expecting-ish?
I don't believe we'll do a formal report on that. That will just be, our own work to determine where we believe it may be suitable to look at reducing speed limits on some of these collector-type roadways. The AI thing is a formal report back to council.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for joining us today, everybody.